Hi, buddy. This is Jeff. I thought that I already made this video, but I just looked back and see I hadn't done it. I'm going to go over the issue of having the MS Teams, or let's call this. I'm going to call this any Viseoconf application, and I want to make a distinction between like individual person to person, or one or two, three, five people kind of things, like Zoom, a personal or enterprise account, or Zoom has personal and pro and enterprise accounts, but just for the meetings, okay. And then Microsoft has like Skype, and then Skype for Business, and then Microsoft Teams. And they've got other apps too. I mean, you can think of lots of other apps. WhatsApp, we got an example like that, okay. And then you get the live events types of things, which Zoom has their event thing. They got an event, separate kind of offering. And then Microsoft Teams has the Microsoft Live events and all that. And those are event broadcasting systems. And I want to talk about the captioning part of this, the speech-to-text part, and how this is done in these different systems, which is actually it's a whole speech-to-text system. Which is done per language, okay? And I've worked on these things before for speech-to-speech translation systems, so this is very familiar. And I've had to do the speech data collection to do it. So what happens? They have to do. I mean, this is not a simple thing, okay? It's not a plug and play. This is far from plug and play. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a system. And Microsoft has their own, and Zoom has licensed technologies from others, okay? Microsoft's using their own. And they might license other things like other platforms and things like that, but Zoom has decided not to go in the direction of building their own, build it in-house. They've decided to license it from different companies like Otter AI and now AppTech, okay? And then Microsoft is using the system that they were. I mean, I remember working with them back in 1999, okay? 1998, 1999, so it goes back that far. The teams that have doing the speech and translation. And those are two different teams. So what you have to do first is you have to have a system, then you have to have it per language, and then you have to customize it. You have to do it, and you have to have speech databases that have been collected per language, covering all different types of voices, okay? So this is not, when they want to do this in production, they're not doing like prototypes where I did, where you just do 150 university students, the ages 18 to 25, and no, they got to have all children. You got to have balanced male and female, 50-50%. You got to have children voices. You got to have age groups up to older people. And the only way you can do this is actually either I have to do recordings, everything is transcribable, and that's a ton of work. I mean, really expensive. I'm not kidding. Or you tweak it and you do recordings of people having them read, and then you have them read out loud, and then you kind of use that, which is not going to sound as good. It's not going to work as well, but it's a fast way to do it. That's for all languages. Now, we're just assuming here for everybody like reads, right? So English and Spanish and French and German, all that. The elderly people can read, right? Right. Well, what about these people in these exotic languages? I like the languages that are kind of exotic. Believe me, I've tried to hire people to work on databases, work in speech collection, and do the recordings for a few exotic languages. And believe me, it's really hard to find people that can actually read and that elderly. It's really tough. So the speech collection part, just to get the voice to work, the voice of the speech, the voice of the text, is the hardest part. And you got to have, you have to either create it yourself or you have to buy databases. So that gets into some cash, okay? Lots of cash. I'm talking really expensive. Like the databases that I used to work on for doing major languages through the European Commission that were funded, and we were doing them in home recording, like we'd record things in a studio apartment, and we record it actually in car environments, vehicle environments. This would take 2 years to do, 2 years to get 400, 500 speakers up to 2,000, depending. And those databases sell for 120 grand. Okay, 120 grand per collection per language. Okay, so you can imagine this is a lot of work and the validation of that. I don't want to go into all the details, but I want us all to understand that just to be able to have the and that's when you've got native speakers and you've got them in the regions and you've actually broken down the regions you want to get. And you've got the certain regions from the native speakers from those regions, okay, from the how many different states in Germany and how many different sections in England. The U.S. one, I did the U.S. one and actually did the dialect atlas for it. And I used all the research. So we're not reinventing wheels here. And do this, and then actually go to the 2-year recording process, okay, in 7 different regions, for native speakers that are from the regions, in the regions still, and from the regions. That's a hard process recruiting those people to do it. I'm telling you, this is really not easy. And then you train the system, and then you want to do it for non-native speakers, right, or people from other regions, right? So, and non-native speakers that are not speaking the language, and it's tough. Okay, I've done call center stuff. I've done systems for call centers for airlines and stuff. Okay, so as well, it's not easy. So all that is a challenge, just to be able to have the system working, so you can have a speech to text that works on native and non-native speakers for one or more languages, which may have people that can read and write or not, and then all that. So that's the first challenge, is just having system works. And then you got to customize that, and you got to be able to tweak it, because that's to have a base system. I'm not going to go on all the testing parts of it. I mean, I could go on for hours explaining this, okay? But that's to be able to have, and that, for the majority of major languages, you got to have a certain level of quality you won't want to put out in production, because you're going to have people really scraping you to death and just tearing you to pieces, because it's tough. And doing it for language that are like lesser commonly used language, it's easier because they'll accept the level of quality is lower. But when you get things that are just not getting, and so that's in perfect ideal conditions. Now, to do the data, you got to put in environments that don't have the noise, background noise. Okay, like here, you can hear people talking in this restaurant. Well, how do you get that? Remove that noise in a recording of. Okay, do you see that? This is a challenge, folks. Just to create the system for the voice to be able to recognize, and you cannot always have those optimal situations. And I can tell you lots of stories about the situations where I had to do the recording with putting tables up in the middle of the room to create sound blockers, and putting mattresses in windows that were open, and have a fan in the background. You got to, I mean, I can laugh about this because I've been through this. Those recording conditions, and driving, and people almost have an accident with the driving because they're reading the words on the thing while driving. Okay, so yeah, and so it's that alone is a challenge itself, to be able to even get the accuracy for the sound and all that, not adding other factors on. Then to add to that, if you're going to integrate this from one speech system and put the speech system into a product, so that's another integration level. You can have the speech system running by itself. This is easy on a computer or whatever, a processor. But what do you do when you want to integrate this into an app that's already got its own compatibility issues with all kinds of things, and that's only when you got like a one-to-one on Skype Transit. I remember seeing this in 2010. I remember seeing the original, one of the original versions of the Skype Translator, 2010, and they took them 4 extra years before they released the German one. And I saw people in the room, private meeting, that wanted to pay for it. They wanted all languages possible. No, just unsigned check. I can't even say who these people are. I'd have to, I can't say who the people are. Not allowed to. So, that goes back a little. That's 12 years ago. I'm just, I'm not even allowed. I can't even see who it is to my colleagues. So, so that's a big challenge right there. Okay, energy source. How do you keep the energy going? What do you do with the internet bandwidth? Okay, what happens? The bandwidth goes down. How do you continue supply? Is it Wi-Fi, or you got live satellite direct communication? I mean, this is there are a lot of things to consider in this. To make sure that this is all has a processing power. Plus, is it a low footprint or a high footprint application? Now, Zoom is pretty optimized. I've used a lot of Zoom. I use a lot of Teams. I've used all these, and Zoom is really great. It's just really low. It hardly crashes, and it's really easy to use, and you're able to use it. But MS Teams like it's just a heavy processing. You can watch it. Just click on Control Alt Delete one time, not twice. Twice it reboots your computer, but do it one time. Hit Task Manager and just watch the processing speed when you put MS Teams. Like, oh, okay. It's a really heavy processing. It's a heavy footprint app. Because they would aim for high quality video, high quality audio. And when you do that, well, you got to sacrifice something that's called processing. So if you compare the processing between what was first, when all these live captions were actually, the captions in MS Teams meetings was actually implemented, 2 years ago, compared to now, you're going to find that it's faster because they've been optimizing it. But they're trying to optimize it after the fact, after they've delivered this out and released it. And they're trying to fix it. They're trying to fix the processing speed and the processing time and all that, and optimize it, because if not, it just hangs. Remember when they released it in January? Was it January 2020? Yeah, it was a couple months before before COVID hit, and hit wide. They turned it on for beta customers, and we were allowed to be a beta on that for MS Teams, and they shut it down like after a week or two because it was crashing the system. It was crashing because there were just way too many people trying to use it, and that was a beta. I mean, this was like early. Yeah, wait till they put this in full production, announced to everybody. Okay, so. And they struggled. They brought it back, but it took them several weeks to get it back, and that was early in 2020. Okay, so they were already struggling then, and that was with the Teams 1-to-1 kind of thing. They didn't know how many people were going to use it. Now, okay, so and that's actually where the user has to activate it manually, so you can activate it manually. But what happens when you have a live event and they're activating, but it's running for everybody? Okay, it's not closed captions, it's open captions, or it's a mixture between open captions and closed captions, or it's enabled, but then the user can choose it. But that's like running everybody's computer too, for a big event. So yeah, and if you got it open captions where you got no choice and it's gonna run, there's no choice, and it's like running on everybody's computers. And if it was not set up to be able to depending on how they've done it, and I don't know exactly how they did it, but I can imagine the different ways they did it. If they did it in a way how the architecture was done, that's running on all computers and having to use the bandwidth, everything. I mean, this is taking it down to it's on its knees. And choice have to be made in this kind of way. And I don't want to go into this. I don't want to explain all this, but I'd like to see a diagram how this is done. And I've actually been in a working group about speech-to-text and running different kind of processor stuff. And it's kind of, it's not simple. To keep it so it's low footprint as much as possible, so it's not going to kill your entire processing speed and then make it so unusable. The lag, because they got to they're trying to deal with the lag time too. How much lag time can they have between when you say it and then when it actually appears on the screen? That's okay. It can't be too long, so you got to sacrifice something somewhere, and they're going to usually sacrifice precision for speed, so that it actually appears faster on the screen. Because if you're waiting 30 to 40 seconds, it's too long. It's too long. So they got to have it appear faster, and that means you got to sacrifice the quality and the processing, and then how it's doing the speech text and the accuracy. Okay. I don't want to go into explain all this. I'm trying to keep it simple. So what here is, and then add the entire performance of the entire network, and on a live system, a production system, which running on I don't know how many people up to how many live events can handle. I've heard like 10,000. Yeah, it's got to handle that. And if we're running all the computers, potentially, yeah, um, this will, this is really tough to do, performance-wise. And that's assuming that it was actually coded, software coding was actually done by the team or the team there at the company that's actually implementing. But if it's a purchase product or purchase company, it's a thing you got to integrate. And it's not an integration. I mean, come on, let's think about it, folks. Think about our own products in SAP, like when we have acquisitions. How long does it take for those products to actually become fully integrated with our legacy SAP products? I mean, I can't think of the business object stuff are even fully integrated with any of our ERP stuff. It's not. Still today, after what, 15 years? So our customers are not happy. So we can expect that we're not going to be happy with Microsoft Teams stuff. And they've only been doing this for a few years, just a few years. So these are a few of the things. I'm just trying to keep this high level without going too deep, but it's these are challenges. And here it's different if you're doing like a rule-based system versus statistical. And if you're going neural processing, well, we don't always know how it works. So you get that. Plus, there's no linguistic processing on top of it. And then trying to add, and when you got to add the linguistic processing on top of that as another layer, it slows it down. It improves the accuracy, but it slows it down. So that's where you can see kind of glitching and stuff. I mean, I'm just trying to give you an overview. I'm trying to give us a kind of a whetting our appetite for the difficulty. And I've been through this a few times. So this is, I'm just going to try to stop it there and say these are the challenges that we're going to have if you're trying to integrate it between different systems. And then depending how close you're in, like Teams is not, the things are not in Teams, okay? It's not, Teams is not the product. Teams is just an interface on top of it. Teams is an interface of a bunch of different Microsoft tools and products that they're integrating in. Like all the repositories and all the folders are not Teams, right? They're SharePoint. And they're making it so you can take Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and share and PowerPoint and actually save them in the SharePoint, right? And so when you put it, it's going to create the folder, and it's going to put it there, and it's going to be when you upload it, it's going to put it there, and it's going to be accessible and all that. It's going to handle all the user management. But then you think of all the processing. The speech to text is one system, and then the text to speech is another system, or it can be the same system. They don't have to teach text to speech for theirs, but and then you've got the text to text system. This is not always one, so you got to have them all working in parallel. And then you've got a bunch of different factors of just what are the all external environment factors that are going on. So and add to that the microphone. People don't have canceling. You can hear the people talking to her, right? You can hear it, right? Because I don't have a noise canceling microphone. I don't have a headset that costs 4 times as much, right? If I had a €500 headset, that would be different than I have a €100 headset, right? So the noise canceling microphone makes a big difference, and so that adds to the whole thing. But that these are all the things that we have to consider. So if we're just wondering why the quality isn't as what we want it to be, and that the speed isn't what we want it to be, and it's not working, they're struggling to make it work. And I totally empathize with them because I've been there. And none of us are right now currently at SAP really doing any speech. Yeah, there are a few of us doing some little labs and stuff. I mean, but we're not full blown into doing this like the companies that do this. And like the labs I used to work in, where you got a team of people working on it. You got like a whole department working on it. Okay, just that part. So and you got other people doing the collection of data. I just I'm smiling, but yeah, I've been there. So I just want us to feel that, to kind of feel that situation, and and but if I could be working on this, I'd be working on it. Because if I could be working on this, I'd be doing it. We just get the funding. I've been trying for 12 years to do this, so trying to find the people that would that would do this. But this has always been told to me not to be core business, so that's the way it is. Uh, but this is a challenge, and so there's all those factors involved. So just think of that. And here I'm just doing kind of a highlight here. I'm kind of covering just the ones that there are like 3 or 4 times more things that I haven't mentioned that are happening behind the scenes too, that are affecting the quality. And I mean, I've just think about how you had just for me to get this headphone set up here to work on this computer for this recording for this software. I can tell you the challenges I went through just to get that to work, and the tests and how many I was yanking at my hair, and really angry at like Camtasia and TechWrite that does this snag it stuff, because I was ready to flip some bugs at them. But so they have other bugs, but I did figure it out, but it wasn't user friendly, and that's the reason why it was giving really bad quality. So all these things are come to play. Um, and Windows is not Mac. So if we ran all this on Mac, we'd probably have something that worked. But because we're running on all Windows, right? I have all different devices, and I'll have all these different versions, and you have all different devices and all that, and they're all tested completely, and all these headsets, this plethora of headsets and type of earbuds and stuff. Yeah, with the wireless and the non-wireless and the USB-C and the USB and the jack, mini jack and stuff. I could see you can't test all of it. So, and there's no way to estimate the number of users that are on using it, that they're going to be using it. So all this comes into play. So I love talking about this kind of thing. We have a round table. You just go around and say, get everybody to talk about all the complexity of it. That kind of bores the users, but it makes all those people that are into this, that are been doing it for years. We're just all laughing because we've been trying this for so long. So yeah, that's it. I missed a number of things, I'm sure, but I'm trying not to get so deep that it'll bore out people. Just I don't want to do that. I want us to understand if they can't find it, there's reasons. If they're having problems with trying to figure it out, there are reasons. And they've maybe bitten off more they can chew, and they're figuring out how to trying to fix that. So and they're promising something high quality because they're trying to fight against other platforms that have gotten some visibility. So they're dealing with that. Yeah, Microsoft's competing against Zoom and different companies and that are doing all these visuals. Plus, they're kind of fighting with that and other factors. And lots of the companies that are doing this, and the number of products the speech products that exist, it's not the huge plethora. Okay, there's just a handful of them, and they're the ones that everybody's licensing. And if I had to do something, I had to license something, license a speech to text or a text to speech. The text to speech, we've actually done it. We've licensed it and we've had it. And it's like a team, a couple people, and they had to tweak this today. And when they told me what to have to tweak to get it work for one language, I said no way. I mean, the way I had to make it, I'd be spending so much time tweaking it. Yeah. And there's no way I was going to make the speech, text to speech work the same way. Speech to text work, ASR to work the same way as a speech to text, or text to speech. I'm sorry. It just no way. And that's just if you could touch it. But if we can't tweak it, then that's really tough. So I mean, so I want us to kind of understand this, and there's no magic wand here, and this is really hard to do. And I've had people come to talks and from big funders saying, "Hey, what's the problem? We can do this with other stuff. Just kind of just sign it." And you don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know what you're talking about. And I've blown people. I've just blew them off. Um, big customers. Big customers. I can't name them. Just saying, you piped your in and stop watching Star Wars. Okay, stop watching Star Wars. Stop watching Star Trek, and stop watching Marvel comics. And I've told them that. I've told people that in really high positions. I said you need to stop watching movies. For production purposes, for research stuff, we're doing stuff, but for the production stuff, it's we're not there yet on a lot of stuff, but working on it. But if we want it tomorrow, we got to need to stop watching movies. Okay. And language is very ambiguous. It's extremely ambiguous compared to a lot of other fields. That's why I actually liked working in business intelligence and enterprise performance management software and decision support systems and geographical information system, basically maps, because it's kind of easy to do. You just have the data. You have the data, and you do it, and you map it, and it works. And language is extremely ambiguous. You can have so many variants. It's just, imagine if you're tired, if you're drank too much coffee, or if you're just if you're running and hyperventilated because you've been running, for all the times, and all the things how that affects your voice. Yeah, or affects your way to write. It's really tough. So, but it's fun, but it's tough. But it's fun. It's tough. Okay. And to get it to be accurate and do the same thing every single time the same way, that's really tough to do. Whereas you can do it with other data, you can. But so that's the thing I just want to share, and hope that we can appreciate that, and we can figure that where if Microsoft or Zoom or others cannot find a solution quickly, and it's taken a long period of time, it's because they're working on it. They're working on it, but they're trying to figure it out because if they've licensed another product and another platform. And what if you have a platform? You have a platform, you put another interface on top of that to kind of make it look like something else, but it's all working underneath it differently and all these things. That's tough. Just think of our own problems here in SAP about the Viseoconf did the CMS and the UACP with the help portal. I mean, that's complex too. So those are a few things we have to consider. And I think it could be any kind of content management system and any kind of. I mean, I'm just mentioning SAP here, but with all kinds of content management systems, you can have Documentum, and you can have different publishing platforms and translation platforms and TMSs, translation management platforms, and all kinds of different things that you're going to have to integrate into one or two or three or four different things and make it a kind of a whole ecosystem. And this is a big challenge. Okay, so just consider all that when you're looking at why things aren't working. And it's tough because we only see it as one monolithic system and it's all working. But no, it's not. It's a bunch of little systems behind the scenes, and pinpointing where to fix it to make it better. It takes a while of time because sometimes it's pinpointing where the problem's happening. Sound problems are really hard to identify where they're coming from, what it is, on how to improve it. And I had that, just experience with my computer with the, the sound system and the sound card, all that, just to fix some of those problems. It was a lot. Yesterday I spent 3-4 hours on it, trying to pinpoint why my headset wasn't working. So, or it wasn't. And the headset and all the different headsets were coming through. It took a while. It took a lot of troubleshooting. So this is what they have to do in development, try to figure out why the subtitles are causing line breaks and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of depends. So there's all that. Hope that helps. Hope that helps you and helps you understand the way it is. And sometimes we're not able to get this out as fast as we want to. Okay. Thanks so much.